Wherever you are in the world, and welcome from all at Radio Works World. And never in the history of the Life You Deserve show has that introduction been as relevant as it is this evening, because not only is my guest at the other side of the world to me, she's actually on a different day to me. Here in the UK, it's 8 p.m. on the Monday, and over in South Australia, where my guest is, it's round about 6:30 on Tuesday morning. So thank you very much indeed, Kate, for getting up this early in the morning for us.
You're welcome.
I guess those 29-degree temperatures that you're enjoying at the moment make it a little bit easier to get out of bed of a morning.
Oh yes, sure. Yeah, I only sort of sleep with a sheet on at night, so.
Yeah. Okay, so just to introduce my very special guest this evening, my guest is Kate Medic, and to tell you a little bit more about Kate, I'm going to pass you over to the lady herself. So, Kate, it's over to you.
Oh, okay. What would you like to know about me?
I do know one of the things that we have in common, which is how we actually were connected by a mutual friend, Dr. Cheryl Chapman, was that we both suffer from physical disabilities. And I know, as a sensitive host, I have checked with you in advance that you were okay to discuss that before we went live on air this evening.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us a little of the story as to how you found yourself in that situation, please, Kate?
Okay. Yes. So I was actually years and years ago, but I decided that I wanted to join the state government because I thought I could make a difference in the community. Because of all the problems I was seeing that people were having. So I went there with great aspirations, and after 2.5 years of sitting there, I actually sustained an injury. But then I went for treatment, and a physio actually caused me major physical health challenges. So I then struggled. In employment. We had to go on something called work cover. I'm not quite sure what it is in the UK. Well, other countries, they have their own name, which is where the government give you so much money in lieu of your wages, but you kind of work, and you're supposed to get back to work, and they're supposed to care about you and all that sort of thing. But I found over the 17 years I actually worked for state government, I did a lot of hard work for the hours I worked, but I got treated really badly by a lot of people because I look okay, and I can think between my ears, but the abuse just continued. And so 3 years ago, I just quit the workplace. I decided I couldn't do it anymore. My case manager insisted that I stayed and they could continue paying me until I reached the age pension. But I decided it wasn't worth it, so that's when I quit. So because I use a wheelchair, and I can walk a little bit, but I have trouble sitting, standing, and walking. So that's how I run my life in between doing all those activities.
So effectively, then, you're actually being bullied in the workplace, weren't you, Kate?
I was shockingly bullied, and especially in the last place, because I had to do some work because I had a fairly senior position. I was supposed to do some work for the organisation, but the admin staff even refused to provide me with a computer. They said there was nothing wrong with me, and they thought I was a liar and a cheat. So I lasted 4 weeks, but I couldn't cope. I totally broke down. And I walked away, and I thought, I can't do this anymore. I need to look after me. So I decided that if I left, I could actually, then through the Cheryl Chapman and the PSA, I learnt how to tell a story and get the message across to other people. And I felt that I really understood what it was like to be injured. And I mean, they look at you and me and they think, well, there's nothing much wrong with either of us, but they're not aware of how it impacts on your whole life 24/7. And then, but you can make something of it, and you can help other people because of it.
Yeah, and from what I know about you in advance, because I do always try and do a little research on my guests before I talk to them, You know, the time that you sort of found yourself with a disability to leaving that position wasn't a sort of an overnight thing by any means, was it, Kate?
Not at all. No, it took a long time before I realised really what was happening as well. But it was the last position I was in that really I just realised I can't do this. I deserve better than this. But it took me a long time to realise that. While I was in the workplace, I tried to advocate for people that were injured in the workplace. I wanted to help in the trainings for managers and supervisors so they could understand what it was like and how to better support injured workers. But I was just given lip service.
Yeah, and I think both you and I are of a similar mindset where, you know, we both believe that what's happened hasn't happened to us, but it's happened for us, and we're now
Yes.
sort of using the past side of the coin, as it were, um, to make a more positive future moving forward. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yes. I mean, that's why I decided once I decided to even move location, 2 hours away, so I could be totally away and have a fresh start. And when I came to where I'm living now at Victor Harbour, which is 2 hours out of Adelaide, I started to do some research and found out about people were grateful for things that happened to them. So I got lots of books on it, but I couldn't find out how to really feel grateful from the heart. People were sort of saying, oh, I practiced gratitude and it turned my life around. So my goal then was I focused on working out how to actually really feel good. And then that's when I felt at 3 o'clock one morning, I needed to write to help other people understand what it was like to really feel grateful. So that's how I ended up writing a book called The A to Z of Gratitude. I felt inspired to write it, and I realized in the end it was my process that I'd gone through.
So that was the A to Z of Gratitude, your book, Kate.
Yes. Yeah, that's this book here I've written. Whoops, I'm trying to get reflection out of it. Yeah, so I was inspired to write it. I felt at 3 o'clock one morning, I got up and I actually wrote. I sort of put the salt lamp on because I was sort of very sleepy. I just wrote some information down, and when I woke up in the morning, I looked at what I'd written, and I thought there was the name of the book. I had no idea there was the name of the book, the type of illustration. So I did all the illustrations because I like doing artwork as well. But then I realized that the A to Z, which is 26 letters, all the steps I've gone through, they were all in order. And I thought, wow, I just have to write this book. So.
Excellent. Is that available to the general public now, Kate, or is it still in draft form?
Yes, it is. I've got a young man in India because they're very, very creative there, and I believe in supporting all sorts of people. They've created a website for me, and it's kate.medic. Kate Medic, all one word.com. That's KATEMEDDICK.com. And the more people that go in, then Google, initially you might have I've only just got it set up, you might have a problem sort of finding it. But if you just put in Kate Medic, there'll be choices there. And I think it comes up at the moment as Dare to be Different underneath. So if you put katemedic.com and Dare to be Different, you'll find the book. So it's either available in a hard copy, but unfortunately, if it's not in here, this country, it costs a bit of money to post it, but you can get an ebook off there.
Right, that's my bedtime reading sorted then, Kate. I'll certainly be taking a look at that. So obviously, writing a book is a great way to leave a legacy. For something of this world to be left behind when the sad time comes that you're no longer of it. What else does legacy mean to you, Kate?
Legacy means to use. I think I've sort of intimated in this conversation so far. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I have a cat. Sorry. Okay. I meant to shut the door, so hang on. Can I just chuck her out? Hang on.
Yeah, absolutely fine, Kate. No problem at all. So just while Kate sorts out there, Kitty, just to remind you that Kate's book is the A to Z of Gratitude, which is available both in print and also in ebook. And should you want to visit Kate's website, it's katemedic.com. And welcome back, Kate.
Yes, I've meant to close the door
No
because
problem at all.
she'll walk across the screen, you know, and show everybody herself. So, yes, sorry, what was the question we were saying?
We're talking about legacy.
Yeah, yes. For me, the most important thing is to be able to share. Like I have mentioned to you, I do take my book out. I've taken my book out to a few places because I do art. I set up a little stand with my book, and I've got a little sort of sign I put out asking people if they're, you know, not, you know, if either them or somebody else isn't happy with their life and they're really troubled. Well, I do tend to get people coming along and asking me. And I can pick people that are struggling, and I realize that so many people do need help and support. So many people are told, you know, oh, just get over it, grow up, or whatever it is. But you know, we feel the way we feel, and it's really quite genuine inside. So I want to reach out to as many people as I can, either by public speaking to groups or in my book, to be able to help people, knowing it's okay not to feel good at times. And that's why I set up my, in Facebook, I've also set up that Are You Sitting Comfortably website. That's for people that are like you and I, that really, well, I can't get out and travel much, but if we feel a little bit isolated for various reasons, we can communicate. And I've set up this Facebook group, but it's not a pity party. It's about sharing the way we feel, and then the group we can support each other and help each other. So for me, it's reaching out. It's not about me, you know, it's about helping other people.
Absolutely.
It's about service.
Yeah. It's about helping other people, but I guess at the same time, it's a way of retaining your own independence as well from within the home, with having the constraints that you have on the worst days. Because you know, I can relate myself. You know, on a good day, you know, you almost feel like you can do cartwheels. On a bad day, then just getting out of bed's a major challenge.
Yeah. Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yes. You know, sometimes I sort of allow myself to feel sorry for myself for about a minute, and then I say, oh, it's what you can't do, it's what you can do. I keep telling myself, okay. Some people turn around and say, oh, you know, because I'm an artist and I like some of the Italian views. Well, you should go to Italy. Well, I think I can't. But what I can do is I can go on the web, I can find pictures. If some of the artists I know take lots of photographs, I ask them for the permission for some of their photographs. I think, well, that's what I can do. And to be quite honest, I hear a lot of older people saying they go on all these cruises and trips and things. But, you know, it's it's money, it's time, it's usually seasickness if you go on these cruises. And yeah, and then there's all problems and issues and food, or, you know, diarrhea or whatever it is they all go through. And some of them are sort of saying, I'm over sort of doing it. I'm thinking, well, you do it for me, and I'll just look at your pictures, and I'll listen to what you say, and then I'm learning that way. So I'm thinking, well, that's what I can do, and I take the best of what people are telling me and then use it for myself. So
Definitely. I think art's probably one of the biggest inspirations that there are out there for people that are of that interest. Who would you say, not necessarily in art, but in life in general, Kate, who would you say are your biggest, who or what are your biggest inspirations?
sometimes, well, I don't watch television too much, but sometimes I watch them, and I think there was a guy called Paul, I can't remember his name now, but you know, it's people that have challenges. I think he had, from memory, he either fell or had a serious stroke, but he couldn't really walk or anything, but he wanted to climb one of these huge pillars they have on the ocean, you know, with that the mountaineers sort of climb, it's a challenge or whatever, but he actually went about a way and of actually finding out how he get people to help him to achieve climbing this pillar that came out of the ocean. But then a lot of things he said and I've got them written down now. I can't remember them offhand, but a lot of things he said was totally inspirational. You know, you can achieve anything you want if you really want to do it. I mean, obviously, you know, you and I probably wouldn't decide to go, you know, trampolining or something because it's not very practical. But you know, I'm just trying to think. It's usually people like that. It's not very famous people, but it's the person in the street, well, a person on the television that's had a challenge. They're the ones that kind of inspire me.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier on in this chat that you're wanting to use, similar to myself, you're wanting to use what's happened to you in the past to make a positive difference in the world moving forward. How's that going for you up to now, Kate?
Learning, I don't know. You probably have the Lions clubs over there, do you?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Well, I went to and spoke at one Lions club, but I realised that they just look for people to fill in their monthly meeting. So I actually gave a talk, but only one person was allowed to ask a question. Then she cut me off, and then she went on with the rest of the business. So I decided that doesn't particularly work. So yeah. I'm looking for avenues where people really want me to share information. I went to an international women's breakfast, and I wasn't asked to speak, but I did speak up. And from that, because I'm particularly interested in young people, young men, young women in their sort of teenage years when body image is a problem, because I grew up with a body image problem. And when I was at uni, I actually argued and said it's not just the skinny pictures you see on the media and magazines that cause the problem. So I want to, my next goal now is to go into schools and actually talk about, often it's the family interaction that makes the issues for the person that doesn't feel good about themselves. But then everyone focuses and says, like, oh, that person's, anorexic or whatever it is, let's dash them off to a medical place and, give them some pills and get them controlled. But often it's what's happening in the family. So that's my next group to talk to, is to talk to people and let them know it's okay, and that they can get some help, and it's just not their problem.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for targeting an audience of that age where they're still probably pliable enough to be able to be influenced. Because I think with an older audience, on the whole, it can be a lot more difficult once they're set in the ways. So I think it's very admirable what you're doing there, Kate.
Well, where I live in Victor Harbour, they used to call it, the retirement village. And a big percent, more young people are coming here, but when I do get into groups with older people, I just call them, they're a load of old farts. They just got their own ideas, and I think, oh, here we go again. They are. You're right. But I think the young generation coming out are fantastic. They're open. I think they'll make huge changes. But when the likes of our age group have gone, then I think the world as we know it will probably improve. So that's my vision for the future.
And a great vision to have at that. I should actually point out, just in case any of our audience are listening to you and thinking that doesn't sound like much of an Australian accent, when I've sort of mentioned about you being in South Australia, but I probably should have mentioned earlier that you're actually an ex-Brit, aren't you, Kate? You actually did live in, was it Bristol?
No, no.
I do apologise. I do apologise.
No, I was born in Bath, there's a big difference between Bath and Bristol. So I'm a Bathonian. So I came out here 38 years ago. So people here say I've got an English accent, but when I talk to people back in England, they say, oh, you do sound Australian. So yes, but other people do pick up the West Country accent as well. But my mum was posh and she came from London, so I've got a bit of a mixture. So
quite a hybrid accent then, is it?
Yes.
So one of the things I usually talk to my guests about is a fresh start, and you've mentioned the fresh start of moving from one area of Australia to another. We're now aware that 38 years ago you moved from the UK to Australia.
Yes.
What what would you say has been the biggest fresh start in your life, Kate?
I have lots of fresh starts. And the biggest fresh start. Probably moving as a child and a teen. I'd always wanted to move away from the UK because I always thought it was too cold. So my goal was to move to South America, ideally, but that wasn't on the cards. Then I thought it was South Africa. My sister actually moved here to Australia, to Adelaide, and then I was in a relationship, and the gentleman concerned was actually a citizen of Adelaide. So in the end, I decided, well, Adelaide will do then. So then I upped and moved here. So that was a big move. That's I had an 11-week-old baby, and I had a suitcase full of his clothes, and I didn't have quite enough money to get to Australia, so I went to Singapore, stayed in Singapore until I could find a cheap flight from Singapore to Adelaide, and then I came here. So that was, for me, that was a big thing, arriving here and all I had was a baby and a suitcase full of his clothes and not much else. And I didn't have much support from the guy who was the father either when I got here, so that in itself was a challenge.
One that you seem to have overcome very well indeed, if I may say, Kate.
Yes, it's all in the past.
Yeah, I know when we were talking just off camera a little earlier in the green room. I love using that term. It sounds so grand, doesn't it?
Yes.
When we were talking in the green room earlier, and we were sort of saying, both of us are very much of the mindset where, we tend to look at things as a reason to, rather than an excuse not to.
Mm.
And I think just talking to you now, on internationally and online, I'm certainly getting that vibe from you today, Kate.
Okay. Yes. As I said, I have written in my room. I have it written. It's about service. So I just bear that in mind all the time. And one of the things I did for a while there was, if I was in a shopping centre and I saw a young person, like I went into the ladies, and there was this young lady putting makeup on, and she was looking at herself, and I just said to her, "Could I say something to you?" And she turned around, she looked at me, and I said, "You're beautiful just the way you are." She said, "Am I?" I said, "Yes, you are." So, and I did that to quite a few women for a particular period of time. I did share that at the Lions Talk, and at the Lions Talk, I actually got, now this is really good, at the Lions Talk, so they were all predominantly old. I was told that I would be talking to people from about 16 to 80, but most of them were in the average of like 60 to 80. There was no young ones there, but I got them to do an exercise to do. And I got them to tell the other person that you're beautiful just the way you are. And then when they were doing this activity, I noticed an older couple, and the guy wasn't looking very, very comfortable. So I said to him, "Did you tell your wife that you're beautiful just the way you are?" And he said, "Yes, I did." So I said to the wife then, I said, "Did you tell him that he's beautiful just the way he is?" And she said, "Yes, but he wouldn't believe it." And I just looked at him, and he was going, and I said, "Look, it's not the outside. It's not the outside. It's what's inside." I said, "You are beautiful just the way you are." Look at his face, he just lit up when he realized it's not just, what we see here, it's what's in here. So for me, that kind of using that experience, and so I challenged everybody to go out and meet a stranger, tell them they're beautiful just the way they are, and I often go out and I give hugs. If a person doesn't look happy, I just say, "You look as though you need a hug," and I give them a hug.
Excellent. What a great way to live life.
So that's what I do, because then they feel good and I feel good.
That's great. Yeah.
So I challenge all the listeners today to go out and find somebody and tell them they're beautiful just the way they are. And if they don't feel they can say that, at least go and say, I'd like to give you a hug.
There you go. And that challenge is going out to everyone across the world, isn't it, Kate? It's not just the
Yes,
people over there
absolutely.
in
Then we
Australia.
can change the way people feel about each other and be more compassionate, because these days we're told you can't touch because it might be rape. You can't do this and you can't do that, you know. It's like we've lost that, you know, intimacy. It doesn't have to be sexual. It can just be, I can feel your pain. Can I help you? Can I relieve it? I mean, you're thinking that, you don't even have to say it, but that person will feel better.
Yeah, with all the negativity in the world media, I think it's down to the likes of you and I and other people of that mindset, isn't it, to share the good news and leave the peddling of the bad news to the media.
Oh, look, I got to sort of watch the intro of the news, and I think, well, I've got enough, so I switched the TV off. And then I think if there's something I really need to know, you can guarantee it'll either come up on Facebook or somebody will mention it and go, oh, like we're having an election here, a state election. Well, I had no idea. But then, you know, I found out through somebody just happened to mention it and going, oh, when's the state election? Because it's compulsory to vote here. So I just have to make a vote, oh, you get fined if you don't vote. So
Right, and how does that tend to work? Is it successful?
well, yes. I'm actually reading a book called Democracy in Crisis by A.C. Grayling, and going through that book, I can understand he actually quotes Australia, and he said it's actually better if it's compulsory, because if voting isn't compulsory, like in the UK, you get the people that are adamant they'll go and vote, and they might decide, okay, I'll call it I won't name the parties. I'll call it Party A and Party B, okay? Because I don't want to get into politics. But you know, like most people say, oh no, you know, they're of the old school, and we have to have Party A in and Party B, and maybe only 40 to 60% of people go and vote. Then the others that don't vote, they get counted in with the one that actually did vote, you know, the party that actually might have got a few more points than the other. So then the party gets in, but that party that gets in isn't representing the whole population. Whereas apparently he was saying what we do here is, if we're really, I won't use the word, but you know, PISS, you know, off with the with all the both, we're sort of annoyed with both political parties. Then what you can do is you go and get your ballot, and you actually, when you write the ballot, you stuff it up. You don't do what they're supposed to do. So then that I don't know how it works, but when they add all those up, those you know, ballot papers that are all messy or whatever it is, I think they get eliminated. So anyway, so I'm reading this book and I'm thinking, oh well, that's kind of an interesting. I mean, we're always annoyed that we've got to go and vote. You know, we don't get any choice.
Yeah.
But you can, yeah. But anyway, so there's lots of arguments for and against. But I can see, you know, maybe there is a point to it. And you got to look at Brexit for you guys, and also for Donald Trump getting in, and kind of that's why he wrote the book. So if anybody wants to read the book about democracy in crisis, A.C. Grayling, anyway, if they want to understand politics a little bit better.
Right, that's an interesting recommendation. So that's something else for our audience's bedtime reading list there, Kate. After, of
Yes.
course, they've read yours, that has to come
Oh,
first.
yeah, read them as well. You know, because if they haven't got a problem themselves, that they can help somebody else, though. You know, to feel better about themselves. But getting back to the book, it is. I realise it's how to learn how to feel grateful. You know, as a kid, I often tell people, when as a kid I was growing up, it was a punishment. You know, gratitude, like you should be grateful, you know, that you've got food on the table. Because the Chinese people, that's what I used to get, the Chinese people are starving. Gratitude for me was always a punishment thing. So for me, so now it's, I can do a whole list of things I'm grateful for, but still feel no different emotionally. But my book explains the steps on how to actually feel really grateful. So that's how I managed to turn my life around and be a lot more positive, feeling really grateful. And I do a journal every day, and it only has to be a positive journal. It's not a negative journal. Even if something's negative, you find some positive in it, and that's what I talk about in my book.
Excellent. I'm certainly going to have to read that. I think for me, one final point. Then, obviously, if there's anything else that you'd like to share with us, Kate, the opportunity will be there at the end of the show. Something again we were talking about in the green room before we started live on air this evening was how being in the situation that you and I are both in can give us more patience and probably more empathy with other people. And for me, empathy is a major driving force.
Yes.
What's your own take on empathy, please, Kate?
I guess, I mean, some people will think that empathy and sympathy are the same things. Well, it's not. Empathy is actually listening to the other person, listening to what they actually have to say without putting your own twist on what you think. Because often when people have a conversation, they're ready to come in with their own opinion or attitude about that. And I think empathy is about listening to what the person has to say, being quiet, thinking about it, and then reflecting back to the other person. This is how their experience is. As I said, it's not about me. It's about listening to the other person. So for me, empathy is really, which is a good counselor or a good listener, is that that's what they need to be able to do. So if you go to a counselor and the counselor starts telling you about their stuff, you know they're not very empathetic at all to your situation. So true empathy is where the person listens to you and they actually don't tell you anything about theirs unless they say, unless you ask for permission, but just don't give it.
Yeah. So we've talked quite a bit about your book, The A to Z of Gratitude. We've directed people to your website, katemedic.com. We've not talked much about the Facebook page, which I think originally sort of linked us, thanks to Dr. Terrell Chapman, which is Are You Sitting Comfortably? Would you like to share with our audience a little more about that, please, Kate?
Yes, I started it. I haven't done a whole lot to it since about August last year because I unfortunately had a major setback physically. So I just struggled even just walking any distance at all, and sitting was just very difficult. So I haven't done anything for a while, but I'm able to do it now. So Are You Sitting Comfortably? This is what Cheryl suggested I set up. And it's for anybody, so it can be anywhere around the world where you come in, you join the group. You need to either message me or find the group on Facebook and ask to join the group, and then I'll let you in. I said it's not a pity party, but it's about if you are having trouble or things like that, you can come in and share. And then hopefully other people on the group can help you with your issues and problems. And then, but also it's about your successes and things and strategies you put in place and things like that. So it's a place for people to share really their challenges, but they're also their successes. And particularly if they feel that they're isolated from the community from one reason or another. I mean, it could be just location. They could be in a rural property somewhere. Like we have obviously a lot in Australia, very isolated, but also you can be isolated in your home and you can be in a busy street but not really see anybody, but feel very much on your own. So yes, it's basically for anybody to share anything. And then because of my background, sometimes I might be able to give a bit of sage advice, but then others might be able to as well.
Yeah, I have to say I was very proud to be your very first member of the said Facebook page, and I remember how excited you were, obviously with the time difference we have between us, when I'd dropped you a message one morning to congratulate you on the 20 likes that you'd had overnight, and you were just absolutely blown away by that, I remember.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So I said I haven't done anything, but there's quite a lot of stuff up there now. But if people want to come in, then I can start sharing more. But I want them to share stuff as well. But it's not about people promoting their business though, or anything like that. It's about people helping people.
Excellent. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we finish today, please, Kate?
Well, hello to you wherever you are. I mean, it must be exciting. So if you want to, I mean, you can come in. Are you sitting comfortably? And you can actually share your, thoughts about, the interview we've had today and other suggestions. For me, I'm trying to promote my book, obviously, but I'm having a big problem because I can't get a literary agent interested because they're either too busy or they don't have self-help books. So I'm trying to find another way of getting people to my website to actually, to see the book and to actually get help. So I'm restricted on what I can actually do to get out and, campaign to, to help get my book out there. So if anybody knows of any ideas, please let me know. Come into the Are You Sitting Comfortably and give me some brilliant ideas.
Right, I'll take that as a personal challenge, Kate. Obviously, it's not going to be easy being at the other side of the world, but you and I don't do easy, do we? We like a challenge, so
Yeah, we do.
leave that with me, and I'll see what I can do for you on that front. I may have a couple of contacts for you, but I'm not sure. I don't want to commit to anything that I can't deliver on, but I do have a couple of ideas, so leave that with me, and we'll stay in touch. I was going to say offline, but really it's going to be online, isn't it? But you know what I mean.
Okay. Yes.
So what are the very next steps for you then, Kate?
The next steps for me now. Well, we've got an artisans market here at Victor Harbour on Saturday, so I'll be setting up on the end of another person's stall with my book and just looking for those people that are walking past it. Sometimes you have to be careful you're not trying to sell something, and I need to be able to communicate. So my challenge is to be able to communicate with people and let them know I have something that can help them. So that is my big challenge, because sometimes as soon as you talk to a person that may have picked up the book, sometimes they just put it down and run away. So because they don't want to be sold. And also I think sometimes people don't want to, they think they might have to share their trauma and they don't particularly want to share the trauma at that minute. So they think that that's what I'm going to ask them about, but I'm not. But anyway, so my challenge is how to approach people and truly want to be of service and to help them.
Excellent. I don't think we could finish on any better note than that, Kate. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you this evening. Have a great Tuesday.
Thank you. We can see the sun's up. The sun's up now. There's the lights changed in here now, so it's cloudy at the moment, but that'll clear and then we'll get hot today.
Right. Well, once again, thank you very much for getting up so early on a Tuesday morning to do this interview for us today, Kate. Thank you very much to all our audience for joining us today on the Life You Deserve show. And I look forward to seeing you next time from Kate and myself. Thank you very much. Have a good morning if you're in Australia. Have a good evening if you're here in the UK. Thank you very much to you all, and goodbye.
Bye.